Today I'll be demonstrating how to paint a wall. There are thousands and thousands of colors on a color palette. Which one is going to make it on your wall? Has anyone actually know how to properly paint a wall? Please raise your hands. Awesome, there's a few of you guys out there. Do you want to impress people with your painting skills? To have clean cut lines, no runs in your paint, and no paint on your trims or any of your furniture? Well, I've spent the last 4 years in the painting industry, painting residential and commercial walls, and I've painted hundreds and hundreds of walls. According to a 2019 article, How to Paint Like a Pro on the Spruce.com, painting the interior wall of a room is one of the easiest and most popular do-it-yourself project in the home, as a fresh coat of paint can provide a four-wall transformation to a room. It is not hard to paint a wall. Painting a house, a bedroom, or an office wall can bring new life to the area. Painting can help hide stains and permanent markers you are trying to get rid of, and painting is a very inexpensive way to remodel a room. So let's get started on some of the supplies you would need. You would need a drop cloth to cover the floors and carpets, paintbrushes to cover, paintbrushes in different sizes between 3 to 2 to 1 inches, roller covers. You also need tape, and a bucket or a tray with a plastic liner to pour your paint in. Also, you can use sanding paper or sanding sponge. According to the housebeautiful.com, Heidi Mullen writes in her March 4, 2009 article, titled A Painter Expert's Simple Guide to Choosing the Right Paint Finish, to explain the 5 most popular finish for paint. The first type is flat. It has a non-reflective which helps hide bumps and scratches and absorbs a lot of light in the wall. I would not recommend this paint for high traffic areas due to its very hardness of cleaning. The second type is eggshell. Has a little shine to the color but not too far off of flat. It has imperfections better and a little much easier to clean. The third type is satin, right in between eggshell and semi-gloss. Best for basements and bathroom with little to no natural light. The fourth type is semi-gloss. Has a higher amount of shine to the paint and is very durable, perfect for high traffic areas, hallways, living room, kitchens, and is very easy to clean up. And the fifth type is high gloss. Super light reflective and wants to stand out. Tricky to apply, but definitely used on cabinets, doors, and accent wall to stand out. You also will need a gallon bucket, a gallon paint can, putty knife, and some spackle. Now that we have all this applied, let's get started on painting. The first step you will need to do is to remove all furniture, photos, paintings, wall outlets, and switch outlets from the wall. And I would probably move it in the middle room, giving yourself 5 to 6 inches of 5 to 6 feet to have room to paint. Place the drop cloth on the floor with one end touching the baseboard and bring out the rest of the open space. And then cover any items in plastic or drop cloth if you don't, just in case of paint splatters on furniture or any other stuff. The next step is preparing the walls. Take a medium sanding sponge or 100 grit sanding paper and gently go over the walls to get rid of any dirt, grimes, or any bumps that might be stuck to the wall. Fill any holes or cracks with spackle. Let it dry and quickly sand over it. Dust and vacuum debris off the floors and walls so you're ready to go. Once the wall is smooth and clean, we can start taping. Decide what tape you would like to use on the trim. There are 2 types of tape. There's medium adhesive and heavy adhesive. I recommend the 1 inch to 1.5 to 2 inch medium adhesive tape on windows, trims, and doors while using 3-inch on the baseboard. Now gently place the tape around the trim, giving a 1/8 space between the wall and the trim. Take the putty knife at a 45-degree angle and run it against the tape and make sure the tape is secure to the trim, so when you're painting, the paint doesn't go underneath your tape. The next step is to get your roller and paintbrush ready. This is your roller, and this is what it's a nap. You just want to put it together. For fine finish, I would use a very smooth roll, and for a texture, I would use a longer grain nap. Naps I would use for plaster walls, just because plaster has a lower texture, and fresh drywall, I would use a fine finish. Now you want to place the nap onto the roller, and then you hook it to your extension pole so you can reach from the top to the bottom very easily. We're almost there. Time to get the paint ready. Open a gallon can or 5-gallon bucket and take the stir stick and mix it well. If you're feeling strong and well, shake it like you don't care. For the newer walls, you will need to mix primer. Pour 1 to 2 gallons in the paint bucket and use the tray, or using a tray, pour it halfway up the plastic lining. Same to go for the primer. Finally, it's time to paint the wall. Depending on the wall, if it's new drywall, we'll need to apply a coat of primer to the wall first. When applying primer, you do not need to cut around the trim or any doors of walls or corners of walls. Roll as close as you can. After the wall is primed, it's time to paint. If it's an original wall with paint on it already, primer is not needed. Cutting in is a term painters use to describe painting around trim, leaving 3 to 5 inches out. This also includes cutting around the ceiling. Take your time cutting. Once it is done, it's time to take the roller and dip into the paint, roll it in the bucket, and they have these little rivets here where you keep rolling to get the extra paint off so you're not dripping everywhere. Now you replace the wet roller on the wall and make a small W. You will roll from the top to the bottom in a smooth motion, only going 2 feet and dipping it right back in. As because you cut it in, you don't need to roll it all the way to the top. It will naturally blend in together once it dries. Repeat the step for the rest of the wall. The first coat is done. Time for a second coat. Once the first coat is dry, which takes about 20 minutes, it's time to quickly and softly sand the walls for a guaranteed smooth wall. Repeat the same step with cutting in and painting the walls. Once the paint is dry, it will take about 30 minutes. Start peeling the tape, and now the paint job is done. Now that was easy, and you should be proud of yourself. These are the general steps in how to paint a wall, but there are many ways to be more creative than painting a single color. If you are brave enough, and my favorite part is to add designs while painting. According to WikiHow, March 29, 2019, how to paint designs on the wall. Painting design on the wall is a great way to make the space more colorful and unique. After the base coat, you can use a stencil and paint over to add your design. Using tape to make stripes, horizontal or vertical, it can bring a touch of unique. Or if you're brave enough, freehand draw it. In conclusion, I've shown you all the supplies you would need, the steps to paint a perfect wall.